Hello everybody and welcome back to the ranch. Dr. Uptown here. Well, we're bringing you a gun today that this is how it came to me. A buddy of mine had a friend take his gun apart for him to clean it up, and his buddy got it apart and couldn't remember how to get it back together. So we're going to assemble it back together for him. If you're not 100% sure what this is already, this is a Hi-Point 9C. It's a 9mm Luger. But we'll get it back together and then show you the process, making it so that it's a functional firearm again. We're going to go ahead and start off. Got a few parts to look at here. This is the part of the mag release. It goes in this side over here, and it is held in place by a spring that connects here and then attaches down around the post. The other part that needs to go on before we put this grip panel on is the thumb safety. So we'll go ahead and put that in place. Now, with those two parts in place, we can go ahead and install the grip panel for this side. And that just simply goes in like that. The screw holds that in place. Now this is a plastic framed gun, and these screws are pretty aggressive screws, so you just want to put them in there basically finger tight. The last piece of this side of the puzzle that we're going to put together is the button for the mag release, which just snaps in place by holding the two halves of it. That's how it goes into place. Okay, so as we've progressed over to the opposite side of the pistol, we've got a few parts to install here. The first part we're going to install is basically just a counterweight, and this slides into the frame right in these notches and drops in there. It's retained in place by a little bar that's got a right angle in it. That bar just slips into place and then drops into the groove. Now, I did have occasion to put this pistol together once before this time around, and what I did find was this piece right here was missing. What this is a sear block. And it goes in basically at the same time that we're putting this in. It goes right into here, and you can see that there's a small spring inside there that this goes into that just drops into location. That is followed up by the sear, which just drops over the top. The next part would be the sear arm, and you can see how we've placed this trigger bar so that it rides just below it. Now what's going to act as a locking mechanism for that is this last piece, which just drops in to there. Now this also operates as a trigger block, which will not allow the trigger to fire the pistol when there's no magazine inside it. The last piece we're going to install is this thin spring wire, which just goes in there, and what that does is that acts to spring load the magazine release. Once all those parts are in place, then we just install the grip panel back over the top. And one of the things you'll notice with the grip panel is it has a small spring in it which keeps pressure on the end of the locking mechanism, and then it also has a couple of points where it presses on the spring wire that spring loads the magazine release. After we get the screw placed in the grip panel, again we just tighten it down so that it's finger tight, and we're ready to install our slide. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and put the recoil spring in the frame. I'm going to put the firing pin in, and what happens with this is this firing pin has a double spring on it that goes in behind it. It does not have a spring in front of it. Now, it may seem a little unusual, but it's got a little bitty short spring and then a longer spring, as you can see. Both of those springs actually go to the rear of the firing pin. Then that basically all slides into the firing pin channel. And then this is your stop block for it. This is also what holds the slide on the frame. And that just kind of sets back into the slide. We have our pin in place in the back of the slide. Just take the frame and slide, mate them together, and pull the slide back enough so that we can engage this rod into the back of the frame. And then from there we go to the position the slide fully to the rear. We'll take our roll pin that holds the slide pin in location. Give that a few taps to get it started if we can. And once that's started, we just take it the rest of the way home with a punch. And we'll drive that pin in. So that it is flush with the frame. It's not quite there yet. We'll check on this side. It looks like it could go just a little bit more. And we can see that on the opposite side of the frame now. So that's got our function check. Does lock the slide back on a empty magazine, and does seem to work. So what we have here is a back together with all of its prospective parts Hi-Point 9C. That's in 9mm Luger. What we'll do next is take this out and do some test firing with it just to make sure that it's functioning completely like it's supposed to, and then we'll give it back to our buddy and let him do what he wants to do with it. This is the Hi-Point Compact 9C. Hope you guys find this interesting. We'll talk to you later. You have a good day.